Hi folks, we're in the Cobb TV studio for our weekly visit with Cobb County Commission Chairman Mike Boyce. And Chairman, you've been back and forth to California for a little time off, but we're getting ready for a big meeting on Monday about Sterigenics.
Yeah, I think this is a good opportunity to talk about what government should be doing with regard to protecting the people. I remember when this story first came out, and it was captured by social media, which means right away you're in trouble, because that means you didn't get in front of the story by going out and telling the people that you knew about something. And I don't believe that anybody at EPA or EPD intentionally meant to hide this story from the public. But the fact that they did not come out and reveal the new metric, or the new standard, and that it was captured by social media, and then you know what social media does, they take it and they turn it into something that in this case was clearly of major concern to the public. But, so we were already behind the 8 ball. And I remember when the story first broke, I remember my thought is that, well, this is clearly within the purview of the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, and the State Environmental Protection Division, that it's something that certainly they, now that they know that it's out there, they will be addressing it in a very robust fashion. And of course, by the time the wheels of bureaucracy got around to addressing it, it was too late. All right, it had now become a true firestorm, and we saw that by the town hall that was led outside Smyrna. I forget who did that town hall.
Eric Allen.
Representative Allen. So the good news was in this story is that this reflects a delegation of both elected officials from the state and county officials and state and city officials working together to address a problem that, while it might be within the boundaries of the state or the federal government to address, by the manner they addressed it, it is just too slow for the public to be reassured that all the concerns are being addressed. So I'll just cut to the chase here. This ball was dropped squarely in our lap, and the people were looking at us to step up to the plate and let them know that we hear you and we're going to do something about this. As you saw on Tuesday, yes, I was on a break with my grandchildren on the West Coast, but this is something that I believe that you need to take. You know, this is something that is a priority, and you need to, as I explained to my family, I needed to come back for that vote on Tuesday. Not just to make sure the measure was passed, but I think this is one where we needed to show, the board needed to show unanimity that we heard the public, and we're going to take active measures to do something about it. And that active measures means dollars, because I've said many times, unless you can put dollars behind something, it's just talk. So the good news is that Mayor Bacon initially proposed this measure, and as soon as he did that, we offered to join in that partnership with him, and it still had to go through our own process, which is why we put it on the agenda for the first meeting of August. And I'm proud to say that the board unanimously approved funding to start a measured approach to start measuring the fumes that are coming out of this plant. And there's still a lot of things we have to do to give this thing some concrete form. But the bottom line is that we've given ourselves plenty of flexibility to do just that. Now, on Monday, we're going to have a forum at the Civic Center at 5 o'clock. Representatives of EPA and EPD will be at the Civic Center to answer your questions for 2 hours. And then at 7 o'clock, we'll start the town hall. And I'm going to be listening very carefully to see what the response is of EPA and EPD, because they've had more than ample time to understand that this is not something where the public's going to sit back and say, well, just take our word for it, we're going to address this in good form, and we'll get back to it and answer when we have all the answers. The public's they're not going to be patient about this. Why is that? Because it goes back to what I said on Tuesday at the board meeting. It took 50 years for the federal government to acknowledge the implications of Agent Orange on our veterans that served overseas, in Vietnam or in Southeast Asia. 50 years. And during that time, veterans died, because the VA refused to treat them, acknowledging there was a link between Agent Orange and their various cancer forms. And it took 50 years. So while I believe that Sterigenics took all the reasonable precautions to address it at the outset, the bottom line is that they emitted, their plants emitted fumes that exceeded what the EPA finally came to acknowledge was a standard that in fact could create cancer within a certain part of the population. I believe it's for every million people you can have 100 cases of cancer. All right, that's a proposal. I think that's the standard. But the bottom line is that those fumes have been out there for a number of years. So the question that every parent might ask, or every person might ask, is so what implication does that have on me? All right, it's not just enough to measure the fumes coming out of the stacks right now. Is what's the implications of this ethylene oxide that's been distributed throughout the atmosphere over the last X number of years? Is that going to have an impact on myself or my family or my loved ones? So there are a lot of questions that have to be answered, and I'm going to be listening very carefully to the EPA's answers to those and the EPD's answers to those on Monday night. And if I don't believe that I'm hearing answers that's going to again properly assure the public that this time we get it, we hear you, and we're going to take some active, proactive, very strong measures to address your concerns very pointedly, and have a process in place where we can go on, have a conversation about this until this meets everybody's satisfaction. Then we're going to continue to work with the city of Smyrna to address this issue in a very strong fashion and let them know that this is not something that's going to go away overnight. You just can't go out there and put out a PR or spin it. This is something that the public's going to know specifically. What are the implications upon our health? What are you doing about it now? And what are you going to do about it in the future?
There was some comments made during the meeting Tuesday night. It was important to partner up with the company that did the testing at a Sterigenics facility in Illinois, which we've done. So the folks may be wondering what's next and when will we hear anything?
Well, that's a good point, and I think those questions have to be answered on Monday night at the Civic Center at the town hall. This is not going to be a problem that's going to go away overnight. This is something that has long-term implications, and we need to have a process in place to address any potential outcome of the study. And I really, my hat's off to Representative Allen for bringing the delegation together, working with members of both the state Senate and the state representatives to get the public engaged, to reach out to us, to reach out to Mayor Bacon and the city of Smyrna. And I also understand that the city of Atlanta is perhaps interested in becoming part of this partnership. So again, I'm not going to anticipate what the answers might be, but I'm going to be like everybody else out there in the public. I want to hear some really solid answers on Monday night. And more importantly, I want to have some appreciation by our regulatory agencies that what we did in the past, that's never going to happen again in the future.
But it's important to point out, I think, that the action that we took Tuesday night along with Smyrna, that's going to be independent of the EPA and EPD when it comes to testing the air around the facility.
Yeah, but I think it's important that we don't have silos. We need to have an integrated effort. And the process needs to include the cities, the delegation, members of the Gold Dome who represent Cobb County, and also the Cobb County government itself. And when if we're all here doing our own individual thing, then we're going to have a very disjointed effort, and we will not have a product that I believe is going to give assurance to the public. So I'm looking to see them, the state, reach out. The process is going to include a joint task force of some measure where we're going to have a coordinated effort to address this problem in the future, and also to put something in place to make sure this never happens again.
Right. And for those who can't make it down to the Civic Center Monday night at 7, we'll be live streaming it on our YouTube channel, putting links to that on our Facebook and our other social media channels as well. So you can watch it either happening in real time, or after it's over, you can go back and rewatch the meeting and see what all took place.
Yeah, and again, we already got some things in place. Mayor Bacon has established an oversight committee, and Commissioners Ott and Cupid are on that committee. They sponsored the resolution on Tuesday night. So this has bipartisanship. That's the political aspect of it, but this is a human issue, and I think that's where everybody's coming from right now. Well, our political and personal affiliations, they're irrelevant right now. This is about taking care of who we are as people, and that we are elected to protect our people. And I think we're all focused on that regardless of what our background is.
Speaking of a human issue, I know that you're, with the rest of us, somewhat saddened that the Director of Public Safety, Mike Register, has submitted his resignation.
Yes, well, I got off the airplane on Monday night, called County Manager Rob Hosack to get caught up on events. You know, a lot of things can happen when you're in the air for 4 hours. And he dropped, obviously, the stunner of the week, if not the month or the year, that Director Register had submitted his resignation. So I asked the county manager to ask Director Register to come in on Tuesday morning, and I asked Commissioner Verl, who is the vice chair of the board, to join me and to see if we could find something a way ahead where we could keep him. But it became very clear at the outset of the meeting that this was something that was a family matter that he had wrestled very hard with, and he finally had to decide what was more important. And the family always comes first. So as much as we're going to be saddened to see him leave, we wish him to let him know that we have his back. Anything we can do to help him during this time, we're there for him as a board and as a county. He has been remarkable in what he has accomplished in his short 2.5 years here with the county. But we wish him nothing but the best. Our prayers go to him and his family, and I hope that this all works out in a way that will bring comfort to him.
And I know I've had several conversations with him that he's obviously had wrestled with this. He's sad to be leaving, but he's also very upset that some are using it and kind of twisting his departure in a political way.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Or to send a statement.
That's unfortunate. I'll say categorically that after our conversation with Chief Register on Tuesday morning, this is strictly a personal matter. And I think that anybody that encountered this situation like Chief Register or Director Register did, I would have hoped they would have made the same decisions that he would have made. And I know it's difficult because we just selected him in April, I believe, to become the director. So I think he felt pulled by the fact that he had just come on board. But life throws curveballs at us every now and then, and we don't see those things coming. But it was time. He did all he could, but he realized that he could not be burning the candle at both ends. And I think again, we need to get behind him as we would get behind any member of the county staff that would have similar circumstances.
And a lot of people asking, where do we go from here with that position?
I would leave that in the hands of the county manager. Again, here it's let's just pray for Director Register right now, and that whatever this issue is in his family, that they'll find some solution to that will bring him comfort to both to him and to his family and to the family members that are impacted.
Okay. Well, Chairman, welcome back from California. We've got a lot going on. As I mentioned, the big meeting Monday night will be live streamed and recorded for later viewing on our YouTube channel. We'll probably post links to that from Facebook and Twitter, as well as our other social media channels, and subscribe to his newsletter, the Commissioner's newsletter, and just keep abreast of what's going on in this county. It's very important, especially now more than ever.
Thanks, Ross.
All righty.